It seems like I needed to be added to the stage. Anybody hear me now? I have music. I don't understand why that's the problem. Oh, now you hear me. Wow. Thank you for being patient. All right. Well, let's try without the music. Let's have a little chat. Sound works now. Thank you, Hutchinson. Thank you, the in-between. Thank you, Ascending Beyond. I see everybody's chats. I got them right here. So please leave your chat. Like I said, this was a kind of a test, and I guess it's important to work things out. I figured out how to add my what was it I did? I added myself to the stage. I don't have a webcam. You better thank your lucky stars you couldn't see me on webcam right now. Let's just put it there. Let's start a presentation. Start with the how can I do it the best way? You know, I did a new presentation on the Richat Structure alone. And so I guess I could start out by giving you the 5 reasons why. Okay, let me give you the presentation that I just did. It's probably the best way to go. I got it right here. It's a short one. I called it the short. It's called small. It's a slideshow. So let me just go there. You use StreamYards as well, the in-between. Glad to hear that. It's too mad. I feel so quiet. Am I talking too loud? How's the reason why I'm starting with the StreamYards is because OBS sucks so bad. OBS sucks so bad. And every time I use it, I'm getting messages. Oh, it's low resolution. Oh, I can't hear you. But then when it actually finishes processing over at YouTube, it's not a problem. So, you know, another thing was I was thinking about using the YouTube streaming platform. But again, that's not really, it's kind of prohibitive, that YouTube stuff. I have a lot of trouble with it. I've tried it many times. Okay, so this picture here, it implies that you could stand right there on the cliff of the Richat Structure and you could see the center. This is not really true. This is a falsehood. This is from a perfect angle in Google Earth where I could catch everything. But in reality, if you were standing here, you might catch a little mountain in the distance. This is like 1,000 feet in the sky. So don't get tricked by this image. There I am. There I am. Guatemala, learning Chinese in Monterey, California. The military also taught me what is a draw. These lines going down the finger, those are called draws. Maybe spur. No, the spur is the land, but the draw is the crack. There I am in Angkor Wat, the first time. That's 1997. Terrible cameras and digital was non-existent. I had film. This was black and white film. That was color film. A friend of mine got me walking on the ruins of Cambodia's Angkor Wat. Thank you for your comments. This is the main Angkor Wat structure. You got to climb in there. You got to go way up high. I've been there twice. But when I went there, and that's the second trip, look at those elephant heads. I mean, come on, man. And the decoration everywhere you go, you've got carvings everywhere. Every stone, everywhere you look has a carving. Don't look at my fat stomach in that picture. Look at that. That stomach looks skinny. Yeah, I've used that joke before. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't dare grab my microphone and pull it closer, do I? Let me just pull it a little bit closer because I put the cord in. Give me a 1 if the microphone is still working. I won't touch it again. I got it a little closer to my head. Give me a 1 if the sound is okay. If there's any problems at all, give me a 2. Okay, I'm getting nothing, so there we go. Thank you. All right, still ignorant. Yeah, because when I went to the Richat Structure, by the way, I'm going to try to talk like the in-between in her videos. I mean, people just love it when you talk directly to the audience and use a voice that I'm not very familiar with using. So I'm going to try my best to grab that extra special broadcasting voice. Okay, but no, I got to be me. I just recently went to the Arches. Now, I got into the 3D mapping of Google Earth just yesterday, and I took another look at this, and I just have to say, I don't understand how this could be possible without a little bit of help. Yes, the water could have gone right through there and washed it all away, but that's as long as a football field. So the arch called the what is that called? I forgot the name of it already. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's at the Arches. It's the main arch. Well, okay, don't say the main arch, but in my opinion, it's probably the most important one. Oh, and by the way, when you say, "Oh, that's those cuts," look at the cut over there. Obviously, that was cut. Well, I watched a video where some of this collapsed. Okay, they don't let you go underneath there because of the propensity for collapses. And yeah, there's a video out there showing a collapse. I don't want to say that's unnatural, but wow, that's a little skinny little part. Can you see my arrow? I see it. We're going to have to go over and see. So we're looking at YouTube, and I'm looking at my video. So yeah, 9 watching, only 1 thumbs up. Let me help with that. I did get it monetized. Yes, good. Thank you for telling me you can see that. So skinny right there. And by the way they have it sounds like that could collapse within our lifetime. But what started the arch? And if you get on top of this in Google Earth and turn on the 3D, they have recorded all these structures. And when you get up there, you can see how straight these are. I believe that's ancient quarrying. I believe somebody was doing that. Okay, I know I've talked about this, the right side, a line following the arch. Are you talking about this line right here? Goat-haired Guardian says there's a line following the arch. Yeah, perhaps it's part of the scoring system that was used to create that arch. If you look at these, the arches, I mean, okay, maybe I should just open up a new window to show it. I guess I have to just close this, and I can do it right here. Let's close my drive. Yeah, because this is important. How fast is this working? Okay, what is that? What is that? I bet you can't tell what that is. That is called Adam's Calendar. It's located in South Africa. Adam's Calendar. And that would be, of course, what's his name? The first person to write his name in the chat wins. And I'll get you a copy of my book. I'm working on a book. But, you know, if you watch my videos, you don't need to read the book. Actually, now it's 2 books. Adam's Calendar is right there. And if you turn on the pictures, the photos, you can see Adam's Calendar here. But over here, that's in the wrong spot. I've been doing this for a while. They disappear. You got to back out. Over here, you can see a shot of Adam's Calendar over there. I think this is pretty cool. I can't zoom in, or I would, but that's Adam's Calendar right there. And honestly, it's probably one of the best shots on the internet, except it's low res because it's so small in the picture. Okay, let's get out of here and do what I was promising. What was I promising? I forgot. I forgot what I promised to go to. Let's take a look at the comments and see if anybody has the name of Michael Tellinger. Yeah, there you go. Crypto Alchemist, Michael Tellinger. Okay. I'll make sure to get you a copy when it's available. I'm going to be doing some cheap prints. I'm not going to do an ebook. Okay, what was I going to show you? I was going to show you what was in my thing here. That's what I was going to show you. So let's go over there to the arches. Can you find it? Here that's Colorado, so it's not there. The Arches is here. Let's get rid of those photos real quick and zoom into Moab. Moab is right there. That's Moab, and so important and so much to look at. There's the other dome. People say the Richat structure is a dome. I don't even think this is going to be considered a dome. Upheaval dome. Yeah, but the Richat structure is not upheavaling. It's downheavaling. What are we going to do about that? Oh, okay. Thank you, Anthony, for pointing that out. Tell her I said hello. Okay, where were we? Let's get back up to Moab, and then we'll zoom in, and then we'll go over to the Arches. The Arches entry point is here. So when you get to Moab, you just drive over, cross the Colorado River on the north side, keep following the 191, and you'll see it. Now, you do have to have I'm a veteran, and I have my card, so they let me in for free. But I still have to pay for a reservation, like $2. And if they have enough openings, you can get in same day. So they let me get in. I had to literally turn around at this traffic circle. Where is it? It's right here. Where's the traffic circle? It's gone. It's not here yet. They haven't installed it yet. There's a traffic circle right there. And I had to go back, and I had to go all the way over here and park my car and get on my phone and do all this stuff. Okay, so then I finally got in, and so you're getting up here. You got to climb up to the top of this plateau. Now, if you zoom out, you start to see stuff right away. To me, those striations, they just indicate false, non-natural to me. Now, you can get in here, and you can drive how I went. Park Avenue, very beautiful. Reminds me of Taiwan. Because of the head that's over here. You can see the shadow of the head right there. And that head looks just like the Queen's head in northern Taiwan. But you got to get up to here to get to the name of that arch that I just showed you. Where is it? It's way up here. Drive for a while. And by the way, so to me, when I see rocks like that, I don't think that that's very possible. It could be attributed to erosion. Sand dune arch, skyline, landscape. That's it right there. The landscape arch. So that's where I am. I'm over here on the trail. You can see the little spot where the sign is that says "Do not enter" right there. So I was here, and I got on top of this rock. So that's my shot right there. And I can even use Google. Whoops, it's a little bit wrong. Okay, so what has to happen now is we have to turn on the 3D stuff. I don't know, 3D coverage might do it. It doesn't seem to be doing it. And the other one is, oh, something happened. Did it work? No. So the next thing we have to do is 3D buildings. That's down here. Where is it? 3D buildings right there. So turn on them 3D buildings. And let's turn off the coverage just to make sure the coverage isn't necessary. Wow, it's just so far away now. Can we get back in there now? It's got to render. Okay, where are we? Landscape arch. Here it is. All right, so once we get in here and it renders, you can see it so much more clearly. There you go. So this is under 3D buildings, and you can see where I was standing. I was over here, and I got on top of this rock, and that's it. 3D buildings. I didn't look at any other arches that day. I didn't have a lot of time. I only had like 6 hours, 4 hours. I know I sound like Trump. 4 hours. Okay, so there's the landscape arch. And yes, I did go there. Check a look at the video. I show a picture of it there, but I'm actually in front of it. If you see my YouTube channel, my last upload, or my second to last upload, was in front of that arch. All right. Wow. So there's a lot of things I was going to talk about. This is really my past. I'm just putting this here. Yeah, I went here in 1996, 97, and then I went. This is Cambodia. This is the lake. I went again in 2005, I think. So this is my history. Later on, I did understand this previous equator on Earth where all these ancient sites are located. That was like 2005 13, 14, 15. That's when I first learned about this, and it's very significant now, and I'll show you soon. Okay, Museum of Osteology shows a Peruvian elongated skull with a surgical implant, which actually has bone repair, just like if you get an implant in your teeth, that can grow back. That hole will apparently grow back. So that bone, it actually repaired around the metal surgery on this skull. I just want to let you know, I discovered that back in like 2013 or whatever. And then, of course, sorry, I take that back. Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson simultaneously came into my life just when Jimmy's video, Graham Hancock first talked about, well, his last book was America Before. So that's when I first saw this and realized the whole, well, I was learning a lot. Another thing from his previous books, Fingerprints of the Gods, was it called? Or is it the other one, the one after that? When he talked about the Piri Reis map. Now, this is very important to today's presentation. Later, I also learned about our Antonio Zamora's shallow craters all over the United States, especially the East. That's we're talking about what? What are these called? They're called the Carolina Bays, because there's a lot of them in South and North Carolina, but there's also some in Nebraska. There's some in Texas and in Oklahoma. Believe it or not, they found a couple actually in Kansas, and it all seems to come from here. But you know what? What is above there? You know, if you go to look at the entire place, because we're talking about the ice sheets on top of Canada, right? So if let's reset that to north, and then we'll get out of 3D. Nope, we'll get out of 3D, and we'll reset that to north, and we'll back out. Now, we're talking about these Great Lakes, and maybe something happened that created the Great Lakes. I just today watched Antonio Zamora's video, and he mentioned that this lake was never covered by the ice sheet, according to science. So the other parts were covered by the ice sheet, maybe even over here. But this lake here, even down here, it seemed like it was covered. Watch that new video by Antonio Zamora if you want the exact info. But this lake was not covered. So the implication is that the ice sheet itself must have had some type of event first. And then that was created. Well, let's take a look at this thing called Hudson Bay. Okay, first of all, you got some curvature here. And then when you zoom in, you've also got probably some other craters of some sort. I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't know a lot about it. But when we have this whole chunk of land missing, when we know the way that Pangea is separated, we don't have big old chunks of land missing in the middle of Canada. So I do believe that that could have been the event. And then something happened over here. I mean, there was ice on top of this. Ice was all over the top of it. So why was it? Anyways, that's stuff I don't know a lot about. Let's get back into the presentation. Randall Carlson also taught me a lot. I met him and Graham Hancock 3 Easters ago. And what I think I learned from Randall Carlson, first of all, was things happen faster than originally explained, like the Grand Canyon or the Missoula floodplains. And he also taught me about cataclysms. Of course, Graham Hancock talks about ancient apocalypse, right? But I heard it first from Randall, and he also taught me about geodetic connections. Oh, okay, all right. I had put this in here, but now it's gone. It's here. Where's the other one? It was here. Let's just see if it's down below. No? Okay, it said there's a geodetic connection between this building and the earth itself. Whoever built this building knew the dimensions of the earth. And with the pyramid as well, we learned so many things about geodetic connection from Randall Carlson, primarily How many seconds are in one day? 86,400, right? But when you split this pyramid in half, especially during, okay, let's go one step by step. First of all, the what we call the latitude and longitude, the socle, which is the red line, and then the perimeter, which is the blue line, is the pyramid itself. It represents the size of the Earth. The equator is the red, and the polar longitude, I guess you can call it longitude. No, I want to say radius. The longitude from the polar radius is the blue line. So how does the pyramid know this? How does the pyramid, this actually, I should move this down a little bit. Let me move it down to here, because honestly, if we go back, we can see, yeah, 1 square degree of latitude and longitude of the Earth is representative of the pyramid itself. Also, the speed of light is there. Wow, yeah. How'd they know that? Also, the math constants. See that video by Bardcode and check out the connection he makes between the cubit and foot and meter in the pyramid. And we've got the vernal equinox. As we've seen it all around, the Great Pyramid also has a vernal equinox connection, especially with these number of seconds. So the 43,200 represents, now I forgot. I think we're talking about the perimeter. But anyways, one side of it, when you realize the Great Pyramid has 8 sides, is 43,200 seconds. And believe it or not, only during the vernal equinox can you see the actual difference between the two sides. One represents the light of the day, and the other represents the night. The day is and night split in equal parts, because the day, the full 24 hours, is 86,400 seconds, and half of a day, which is what this is representing, is light. Half of a day of equal light, equal between dark and light. Okay, I found out about the Richat structure when I was looking at Google Earth back in like 2009, maybe even 2008. I quickly discovered the eye in the middle of the Sahara. Well, not quite the middle, right? But I didn't know anything about what Jimmy later told us. Number one, that the Atlantis tribe was located right next to the Atlas Mountains. And that there was this thing that looked like a castle right there in the middle of the eye. So, yes, after about 5 years, latitude and longitude first used. Okay, Hutchinson asked a question, and I'm happy to take a quick break and talk about it. Hut, you, I would have to Google that, but I can tell you that our British, what's the name of the British longitude that's so famous? That was in the 1800s, the British longitude. What are we talking about? We're talking about a longitude act of 1714. I know that the French were fighting. And so where's the thing? It's called the Greenwich Meridian, right? The Greenwich Meridian was from the 1714 era. Napoleon gave up fighting to have the French as the meridian. The Greenwich Meridian is the main one. It says right here it's 1884. That's actually seems kind of late. I think that even the USA or the Americas didn't use that. What the heck? All right, let's go back to the presentation. The question is latitude. I think that we started learning about latitude a long time ago. If we go to here, we can go down to the bottom and put up grid lines. And some grid lines were quite prominent. First of all, we quickly figured out the equator, didn't we? And we're talking about who's we? People navigating the waters. But then over here, let's go to the Richat structure. You can see the Tropic of Cancer. We knew what that was as well. Back in like the 1500s, you can see the Tropic of Cancer on maps and stuff. So, yeah, of course, when the pyramids were built, they didn't really know all this stuff about the Earth. as according to mainstream. But to be honest, when you zoom in on the pyramids, which is right there, they probably had. Look at how the bottom of the line goes right along this line. That's the great. I'm sorry, that's the middle pyramid, the Khafre pyramid. Yeah, and if we zoom in right on the top, what does it say? 28, 58, 45. I mean, we're talking about the speed of light now. 29. Okay, so we have to put that number in. Can I zoom? Can I grab it? When I've tested this before, it put me right in the center. Now, I don't think it's the exact center because the first time I tried it, it wasn't the exact center. But if we get in right here, and let's put in the info, 29, 58, 45, 29, 97. Also, by the way, this is different. This is the decimal, so it's not exactly the same. I probably don't want to spend a lot of time messing with that because I can't save it to the project. But I do find it interesting that the center of this pyramid is basically connected to the speed of light. Okay, and we have the last one, vernal equinox. We talked about all that. I went to the Richat Structure. Can I make the screen larger? Yes, I can. Sorry about that. Oh, well, in Google Earth I can't, but I can with this presentation. Yeah, I went to the Richat Structure in the first month of 2022. Now, I had been looking at this since like 2018, but I was really broke, and I finally got the money to take this trip in 2022, and I did it. I went there twice. No, I went there thrice. But this is the first trip. I put a drone in the middle of this, and I wanted to get drone footage, but the drone failed. So far, the resolution's great. I'm seeing no problems. And let's see if I can check my settings. It says 720 is the biggest reading. I'm curious later. It'll probably... Well, that's funny because I just saw on StreamYard, it said that I got 1080 on my desk share. So I don't know what that is talking about. Maybe I got to pay. All right. Anyway, so here I am. And yeah, the castle is just a pile of rocks. I still have people talking to me about this. They're still bugging me. Like they're telling me, oh, you're into pseudo archaeology, but this castle was Atlantis. I'm like, okay, first of all, for you to say this castle was Atlantis is the epitome of pseudo archaeology. Go there and take a look at it. And these types of structures are all over. Now, as you enter, and that's the first entry ring, you can see the castles over here. I mentioned here, I just went there on Valentine's Day 2024. But I actually think, yeah, that was it. I just, I don't understand why this has been at an angle. All right. So, yeah, I just went there again for my third time on Valentine's Day. I was over here on the right side. We can talk more about that depending on how everything's going. Make it the only shared screen and take it off the square on the left. Oh, I see. I got to look at the StreamYard studio for that, right? I'm not really sure how I can do that. Add item. Can I make it? I'm looking at it. My StreamYard is just black. So I'm not seeing anything on StreamYard. Let me just show you what that looks like. Is this what you're talking about? This stuff? You're seeing these items over here, and this is not maximized? Is that what we're talking about? And how do I do it is the question. So let's see here. Bubble, default camera, rounded corners, overlay, video clips. I'm seeing all this stuff that I don't know how to use yet. Let me get it out of here. Maybe you can give me an idea. I think it's maxed out now. I maximized the presentation. Thank you, Crypto Alchemist. Let me get that so I can see you. There you are. Not quite, no. Okay, well, let's just keep going here. if I had to do a presentation, everybody wants to know how I think this thing was created. I kind of feel like it was some type of a plasma event, like a lightning strike in a car, which could actually hold the frequency of something. Look at this one, D number 2. That almost looks exactly like the Richat structure, in my opinion. There's a couple of others that could be it. A number 2. That looks like the new structure that I'll show you soon, where you have that thick band around the center. No, but this one over here, D number 2, that really looks like the possible creation thing. So how did it come around? I don't think it's a dome, okay? I don't think it's a volcanic dome at all. Now, how is it destroyed? I got to start selling this more because a lot of people get confused when I talk about this. We've got our Mauritanian string of pearls. The Tenamore crater has plus minus dates that could fall into the same time that the Younger Dryas event happened. We also have another crater up here, the Temi Mishat. We have another one, Oelo, down here. They all have different dates given to them. This one down here is pretty old, and that's good information as far as whether or not it, I don't know. I think it should be reassessed. By the way, you see a great shot over here of this bay over here. Look at this. I don't know when I took this picture or even if I did. I'm pretty sure I created this. But look at over here. This is where the Taman Rasset River came out. And you still can see something going on over here. Okay, the Semi-Siat, I went there. That's the little donut. Not big crater, but the Sebket El Guelb. Now that is something that I believe has something to do with the destruction of a possible civilization, maybe Atlantis. And the reason why I say that is because I believe the center of the Richat should look more like this on the left. However, it looks like this on the right. The mountains are gone. If this was a dome geology, or even what I described from the electronic event, the plasma strike from space, thank you, the in-between, for saying that, there would probably be leftover. But this is almost a perfect circle here. When you look at it under the topography, you see a little bit unevenness. However, there are some alluvial fans growing over it, on top of it here and over here. I don't know why this is so dented right there. I thought that was pretty smooth. But if you look at it, you can see a clean circle. So if you ask what destroyed Atlantis and you believe the Richat structure was the concentric circles, then this crater, by the way, it's a shallow crater, just like the Carolina Bays. I believe that it's because water was involved. And the crater got filled in very quickly by sediment. Floating water sediment filled it in, but couldn't grow a new mountain, couldn't get higher than the surrounding areas, always remained a shallow crater. The Sebket El Guelb. Now, the government won't let us take proxy surveys around the edge, but I do have my eye on a spot. If I can ever get up there alone, I might do a little digging, but at this point, it's unreasonable. Look at my video. I've been here before. And I can tell you that the top layer is not going to help you get the proxies, the impact proxies. All right. Now, let's get into the story that Plato told us. When we look at this timeline, you can see Solon was actually quite a few years before Plato was even born. He died in 560, and Plato was born in 420. So just almost 150 years, maybe a little bit less. I'm bad at math. However, so people talk about the telephone game. Well, Solon put it all down in writing. Plato claimed to have held Solon's notes and in his possession and studied them from a young age when he was a young boy. So Plato didn't play the telephone game. He copied the notes directly from what Solon wrote. So there was no telephone game in Greece. Now, as far as what Solon understood and wrote down when he was in Egypt, that's a different story. But I just want to point this out. And I do have Aristotle in here now, Socrates, Herodotus, who was just barely gone when Plato was born, very close. But Solon and Homer, he's one of the oldest. Thank you for reminding people to press like. I only have 2 thumbs ups. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, thank you, Michelle. I'm going to refresh this StreamYard, was this Atlantis, and see, yes, there's 18 likes. See? So I do have more likes than YouTube's showing me. There they are. However, yes, the more the better, right? The more you share, the better. And I don't do very good at sharing this. I could probably share it over to Twitter or something, but honestly, I don't have a lot of time. One of the first things we need to talk about is when Plato wrote an impassable barrier of mud. I just said impassable barrier. No, impassable barrier of mud to voyagers sailing from hence to any part of the ocean. Okay, so where would that mud have grown from? Where's my picture of Google now? When we look at it, do we see the impassable barrier of mud? We know where the Taman Rasset came out. The Taman Rasset came out right here. You can see the evidence out there. You can look at the other charts. The Taman Rasset came out right here. Now you've got a little bit of a what do you call it? Punto right here. You've got a punto that sticks out probably from bedrock. But all this up here and this little island here and whatever's going on, this is all. By the way, let me get rid of this. I don't like these. I don't like the grid lines. All right. And by the way, why is that road here? Everything's chosen. Let me get it clean. And let's get rid of the 3D buildings. There's not a lot of that happening around here. We don't really need that. Nobody talks about what's going on in the Sahara. Okay, we can see the Richat structure over here on the right. And we do know that the Taman Rasset probably went through here. I believe it went down this way, but the other sources say that it went over this and came down. That's hard to believe, but I can show you a whole bunch of canals out here and down here. There's canals everywhere. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, okay. No, you're right. I'm seeing it now. That's showing, you know what? I got to figure out how to get rid of this. Where is it? Not that. I got to figure out how to get rid of it. What just happened? Here it is. No, I can see what In Between's talking about. You're talking about getting rid of that square, like I was saying, but don't know how to do it. It's just, yeah, I'm looking at settings, maybe. General, camera, virtual background. Okay, we're going to have to figure that one out. You're going to have to teach me. How do I get rid of that? I got to get that out of there. Right. So how the hell do we do it? Camera, general. I think it's general. Automatically add shared screens, videos to stream. Audio avatars. Shift videos for comments. Here's I don't have a higher resolution than you and your guests need a solid internet connection for 1080p. Okay, I don't know how to do that right now. I mean, it's right here. If you can tell me what to click, like, first of all, I'm in settings right now. Virtual background. That's something else. I have a green screen. I don't want that. Camera. General. I really want to get rid of that. So how do I do it? Can I hide this? Stop, edit, edit. I don't know how to do it. There's maybe this edit name, stop screen. No, I don't want to do that. Comments, banners. Here's comments. Yes. Oh, look, I have my comments right here. I'll figure it out. Don't worry about that. But unfortunately, it's not really helping me with showing you the maximized screen. Let's see. Let's see if that works. I don't think it's going to. All right. Well, all right. Here we are. So don't tell me that there's impassable barrier mud out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Instead, yeah, that bugs me now. I can't even think. Okay, instead, another thing that we need to talk about is if you're sitting here saying, well, there was an island here, but it sunk. Okay, Plato wrote about the islands, and I used to think it was diving for clams and for other things. And then I was told that I had a bad interpretation of the original text, diverse islands in the open sea. This is what Plato wrote. All these and their descendants for many generations were the inhabitants and rulers of diverse islands in the open sea. Okay, so in addition to the continent that I showed you earlier, the downtown concentric circles that are next to the Pillars of Hercules that I'm going to show you in a moment, he wrote that Atlas's twin received this area. But before I do, I want to finish, and also has been already said they held sway in our direction over the country within the pillars as far as Egypt and Tyrrhenia. Okay, so what does that mean? Where's my, what happened? Wow, I must have put a lot of white ones in there. Okay, first of all, let's get back to the, okay, that's weird. This is actually, now it's stopping. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of a problem in the, is there anybody who can tell me if it's a 1 or a 2? I'm not, this is, okay. We got a problem. What happened? Was there a lag? Was there a gap? Something happened. And I'm getting a lag. No, the white screen was me, but it stopped. I couldn't control the white screen. Was there a problem with the audio? If there was any problem with the audio, the white screen is me. I don't know why I went back to that, but it's coming back soon. Yeah, the slides are back. Was there ever a gap in my speaking? Was there ever any jumps in my audio? And why is it still white? Oh, because I hit. Okay. I'm still seeing, okay, it's very lagged. Okay, so that's fine. Let's just stick with this, and let's just get to the point that I'm trying to show you, which is the country within the pillars. I forgot where I was talking about. But as you may know, I went to the Pillars of Hercules, and I can give you a quick comment about the pillars. The Pillars of Hercules were navigational landmarks for people who were sailing ships around this area. Okay. Now, were there actual columns? Well, I have a friend who says that there were actual columns in Cadiz. Cadiz is up here. Where's Cadiz? It's way over here. Is that Cadiz? No. Cadiz is way up here. What? Where's Cadiz? Up here. So according to my friend, Cadiz has some columns underneath this water here. And no, it's not a white rabbit in a snowstorm. It's a polar bear with its eyes closed. Apparently those polar bears. Okay, I went to Cadiz, but I also went to the pillars. If you're sailing around here, you're not going to use Cadiz as a landmark, okay? So I don't care about any history about pillars being in Cadiz. So if you're talking about a landmark that tells you where the end of the Mediterranean is and the beginning of the Atlantis is, that perhaps Plato was making a reference to, oh yeah, it's over by the Pillars of Hercules. It's beyond the Pillars of Hercules. It's outside the Pillars of Hercules. Okay, you can say all that. Now, why was I pulling up the Earth? There's a reason for this. But I think the main reason here is the first thing that comes up in the whole story Plato talks about is the Pillars of Hercules. He makes reference to them. He says beyond the Pillars of Hercules, right? He mentions this. Now, if you zoom in good luck trying to figure out what Google Earth is thinking when you try to zoom in to this part of the Pillars Ocean, the Strait of Gibraltar. However, I can tell you I was right here. I was here for a few days. This is actually Spain right here. I didn't go there. I was in Morocco. I went to this mountain right here. That mountain is Mount Musa, or also Mount Moses. It's the southern Pillars of Hercules. If you're going through here, you see this mountain and you see this, the Strait of Gibraltar, the Rock of Gibraltar. The in-between. Wow, what? I'm talking too fast or I'm moving too fast. I'm sorry. I'll try to slow down. And I'm trying to get back on track. Right now, what I'm talking about is my 5 reasons why it's an African Atlantis. Now, according to what Plato wrote, he mentioned the diverse islands in the open sea in addition to the place where Atlas was born. And by the way, that's number 3 or number 2. The Atlas Mountains are right here, but let's go in order. I'm going to maximize the slideshow and we're going to keep going in order. In addition to the main continent, Plato does make reference to the islands out in the open sea. So for anybody to say that there was this sunken island in the middle of the Atlantic, maybe near the Azores, I just don't think so. I think we see what we see in Google Earth. Okay, moving on. Pillars of Hercules, mentioned by Plato. Okay, next, Cadiz, mentioned by Plato. They called it Gadieris. That's the name of the twin, Gadiz. Okay, it's right here. To his twin brother, who was born after him and obtained as his lot the extremity of the island towards the pillars. Okay, the extremity of the island towards the pillars is here. This big red area. The pillars is up there. The extremity of the island towards the pillars. Okay, if you argue it's out here in the Atlantic, you'd have to say that that island had been in 2 separations. What island? The one over here that people think sunk, or the one in the middle of the Azores? Well, we'll have reasons for those not being it. But yeah, Cadiz. This is real world geography. The mention of the oldest city in Western Europe is right there, and it's mentioned by Plato. And it was facing the island given to Atlas twin. Now, we do talk about island and the word Nessos in Greek and its meaning. And in my opinion, this big red thing could have been an island because the Taman Rasset separated it with a river as big as the Nile from the southern portion, which we could call Atlantis. Okay, Gadiera wasn't out in the middle of the... Oh, I'm sorry. Gadiera is where the X is. So we're talking about a place that's right across from it, not out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, next. The Hübner-Seuss-Massop hypothesis. I don't know why this has to be a problem. Let me see if I can just correct this. Let's just pull it down a little bit. There we go. He passed away, but he did a paper on what Plato wrote, and he took all the different indication layers and masked them on the globe. And according to what Plato wrote, whether we're talking about gold or elephants, this was where Atlantis should have been. Taking a look at this indication layer, and there's a bunch of layers here. So you're seeing the final spot that indicates where Atlantis could have been, according to what Plato wrote. And this is a scientific paper. Okay, check it out yourself. Sumasab also apparently has some stuff. However, in my opinion, the big stuff is down here by the Taman Rasset. There were no elephants in the Azores, okay? There were elephants in Africa. Okay, there was no gold in... That's Massa Musa, right? There was no gold in the Azores. Hey there. Rome Dog, thank you. Yeah, definitely not the Azores. There's Masa Musa right on the Piri Reis map. But let's talk about what this thing is over here on the right. If I don't have a chance to mention it, could that be? I mean, come on. Look at the Piri Reis map. Look at this coastline. Look how clear Punto Blanco, Cape Mirrick is so clearly demarcated on this map. They've got the Taman Reset coming right out where I told you. Yet it hits a mountain. Is that the Adrar Plateau? I mean, it is the 1500s. Is it possible that they still couldn't get over to the Richat structure? Is this the Richat right there? And is it a circle? I mean, I personally have my, I'm not going to jump all over that, but I do believe it's quite interesting. You have a circle and something's in there. What's in there? Is that a city castle like we see? Well, we don't really see it on this map, but we see stuff on other maps that indicate Wadan, which is the place that's right next to the Richat, right where this, what is that, a duck? Is that a goose? And then what's this over here? It really looks like a little dog or something to me. Whatever that thing is between the feet of Mansa Musa, and then we've got this mountain. The Taman Rasset River didn't go into the Adrar. It went up and above the Adrar Plateau. So who knows what that mountain represents? Ostrich. Ostriches and elephants. Okay, yeah, of course, Rome Dog. Of course, the Azores were probably habitated. Look, I think that the civilization of Atlantis ended 13,000 years ago, began probably 50,000 years ago. So all the topsoil in Africa has been blown to Brazil. Oh, yeah, don't forget Atlas, King Atlas of Mauritania. King Atlas of Mauritania. We're not talking about the King Atlas that had the twins, or I'm sorry, that was the son of Poseidon, and probably the Atlas Mountains were named after. No, this is probably one of his descendants, one of the younger King Atlases. I mean, how many years do these Atlases live? Do they live a regular life, or are they thousands of years old? Well, this King Atlas, he created the celestial globe that we all know about, a tool for mapping in the heavens, representing the constellations. And then, of course, we have the book called the Atlas, a collection of maps depicting the world and heavens. Navigation was also the recipient of his contributions, early techniques through his knowledge of the stars. So we've got these three things that King Atlas of Mauritania is famous for. Not the same King Atlas from the story of Plato. Okay, another King Atlas, probably later years. So which King Atlas? I mean, I believe it's a connection. He's probably family, right? Probably lived in the Atlas Mountains. I've been to these Atlas Mountains. I just went inside a little bit. They're quite complex. And I went to the area near the tallest point. But there's also something called the Lower Atlas Mountains. It's all south of this. Okay, the Atlantis tribe, Herodotus put them right by the Atlas Mountains. All right, now here comes the big stuff, the new stuff, the stuff that I may or may not have told you. Crypto Alchemist, I've told you, and the in-between, I don't know, because we didn't have like an interview. I just let you have my links. But we talking about this other structure. Let's zoom in on the map, Google Earth. Where is it? Over here. Right over here. Take a look at this. What is it? I don't know what the hell that is. It's a circular structure. This is the mini Richat-like donut right here. It's not really three rings as much as what do we have? We have a middle mountain. Now let's not even talk about this crevice here. What I believe is some type of a canal, or these other lines going across. I mean, when you talk on a geology perspective, geology wise, which came first, the circle or the stuff that goes right to the center of it and bisects it. You've got this ridge over here. This ridge right here also aligns with this canal. There's all sorts of crazy stuff going on in the middle of that. But then you've got this thicker portion from here to here. It's nice and thick. Don't talk about the ridge that grows across the top of it, which I believe had to have come later. We're talking about the original structure. It's a donut. And how wide is that? Let's take a quick measurement. 2.3 miles, 2.25 miles. All right, let's back it out because there's some important information here. That thing I just showed you, which is right here, if you connect the dots and connect it to this other structure called the Richat, you'll realize that it's aligned with the ancient equator, which I talked about earlier. Okay, so the ancient equator, which I talked about earlier, it's one of the first things I learned, and I labeled it ancient equator, but you don't have to. Those two structures are exactly parallel with it. Hungry, don't make me hungry. Okay, I'm going to finish with the Richat. So this is almost over. I'm not going to get into the rest of the world, but there's so much more. This is almost over. There's a couple more issues. This line that I showed you is parallel to that ancient equator. This weird structure, barely topographical. How do you say that? Do the whole thing. I've done it so many times. There's that ancient equator, and it goes so close to the Richat. I mean, when you look at this, and by the way, let's not talk about this this map. It's not a flat Earth map. It's a where's the words? It's a I forgot the name of the map. Anyways, that's another shot. It goes through Africa up here. It goes through Petra. It goes through all these other places. Thank you, Bird Eye. Okay, yeah. So this ancient equator that goes around the world, I followed it. It's not such a perfect line, especially when you get out to about here. That's not so perfect. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. But this thing, it's just a little bit too convenient. Okay, the Taman Reset. We didn't even get to all 5 parts of my proof. But I think I've talked about everything. So yeah, we talked about that. The fact that there were so many lakes out here. Yeah, I mean, that so-called ancient equator theory, I'm just pulling that out of my ass. It's something I came up with back in 2018. I was just getting started on videos like this. I'd never been to Africa before. By the way, it's not so thick, right? But this whole river answers the question of where did the Richat structure get its water from? I mean, I believe that big thick line was mainstream Taman Reset. It came out here, okay? Don't forget, pre-flood, that had to have been out here where we had this ancient shoreline, to be honest. And by the way, that shows it coming out here. I think it came out right here, very close to this spot. The ancient shoreline got really close. Okay, so, and I do believe that another river came through here. Although you don't have a lot of evidence out here. Now we do have a whole bunch of quarries out here. I'm going to show you sorry, I meant to say canals right here in what we know as Western Sahara. I also believe that there were bodies of water there. This is one of those canals that happens to be way out here. So, and it points this direction. So I put this line here with that in mind. I do believe that there was a canal here that fed from the Taman Reset, although I do believe this was a big old body of water here and down here as well. But who's to say that this thing goes on for a good 10 miles? This is the curve, and there's another inlet, I believe, for a canal there. Let's not even talk about this ridge. These ridges must have been put down later on as the waters receded, but I don't know. We have multiple shorelines out here. If you don't know where that is, it's right here in the corner of the eye. That's that curve right there. We have these clusters around the Tamanrasset, that area I just showed you. You can see what looks like a bunch of canals. I mean, here, so many. And here's like a little intersection. Wow, thank you for that. Gotta love the super chats. And I've had so few of them, so that means something. This right here, to me, there's a lot of other people out there that call this an intersection, a canal intersection. So that's out there. There's a lot more. There's a whole bunch of stuff. By the way, I don't think these black lines are natural either, but I'm not going to get into that today. But we do have another intersection here. So we have a whole bunch, and look at the way it gets changed right there. And of course, that was all way up here. Now I also have found all these other little canals, and I don't get into them very much. I won't be doing that today, but the one canal is the one that's right here. And I just figured out, no, it's not 43 miles. It's more than 50 miles through the Adrar. And you're lucky because I'm all ready to go. I'm all ready to show you this. I'm all set up. So let's give it a shot. Let's zoom in. Finally figured out how to grab this. And I always use this, the White Valley right here. That's called the White Valley. Zoom out. There's the Richat structure. There's the mouth of the Richat. We'll talk about that more in a second. I do wonder what created that mouth. How did the mouth of the Richat get created by natural stuff? It's a volcanic dome, so it's a perfect circle. What broke through like maybe 10 miles worth of wall right there? But I'm going to show you this instead. So the White Valley is right there, and it points to about here. Zoom in right here. We'll start right there. By the way, the in-between, thanks again for your super chat, Crypto Alchemist. If you haven't subbed her channel, check it out. I think that she's going to be very up and coming with her narration of stuff. Okay, now, zooming back out, we've got the White Valley over here. Wait, over here? Where is it? Way over here. Oops, I messed it up. Let's just turn this to north. Okay, so the White Valley and its so-called canal or whatever, it's quite a long structure. It starts way out here, right where you get into the Attar. Attar is up here, the city of Attar. But the White Valley is a prominent area, and I could talk about it for a long time, but I'm just going to follow it down to the point. Maybe this should be part of it. Was that a waterway, or does it keep going down to here? Actually, it's quite a jump because you kind of got to work your way over to this thing. Okay, so once you find that, you found my canal. My canal, because I've never heard anybody else talk about it. It starts right here. So this is up high. This is like 2,000 feet high, or at least 1,000. And when you look right at the Richat, which is right over there, you can see how it goes towards the Richat. Now, this part, not very deep of a canal. So this sludge must have gone right on top of it, I guess. But when you get to the other side, you can follow the canal for about 25 miles before it disappears. You've got something going on in here. It looks a lot shallower than up here in this mountain. You've got the cut through. Okay, let's get up here so we can see how this line continues. It's kind of hard to see, but trust me, when you see escarpments like this, they separate for the canal right there. Okay, you can follow it, and you say, what? That's nothing. Wait, there it is again, a big opening. Okay, I know that's not big, and you go a little farther, and you got another opening right there. So this is my canal. Now here you're like, I don't see nothing. Wait a minute, what's this opening here? So you've got another opening. Let's just keep moving it. You've got another opening here. You've got an area here. and over here that looks like it's like an outcrop of a bedrock or rock. But and maybe you can see some rock here, so maybe rock got moved. But when you zoom back out, you quickly find the canal's continuation right here. Yes, I want to show you my favorite part. You can kind of see some weird line going through this open desert area. You follow that, and then you get back to, let's zoom out, some more openings between rock here. I know this is a little hard to see. By the way, the scan is not as good as it used to be. Right here, you can clearly see the line. And it's like, what's this ridge? Okay, don't underestimate the power of the trees. I'll show you in a second. Trees. There's another little scridge of line. Scridge. But wait, there's much more. There's this opening here, going right through there. Another one here. By the way, there's other stuff going on. I'm not saying that that's the only canal, but you can follow this line. Oh no, what happened here? See, you really got something going on. Okay, something was going on. Was it just a road? Was it not a canal? Well, you can ask yourself that, but it's 50 miles long. Here's another chunk right through here. Okay, you can see how it keeps going through here. We're almost at the so-called end. There's a lot of escarpment. By the way, I do feel like that was ancient mining over here on the right. This type of weird stuff happens all over the world. I just feel like these edges were manicured, but we're going straight through the line. You can still see something going through here. And then we're getting out to the end of it. We're almost at the end, but there's two more. Oh, by the way, I kind of feel like it's separated. So you've got two lines going side by side. Here's one of them here. Here's the other one over here. But wait a minute. Now we're going out into open desert. If we look at that, we can see the mouth of the Richat way out there. That's like another 100 miles away. But when you get into here and you follow it straight, you can still see some type of canal. Some trees. That represents water. Okay, why do you have trees right there? Because it's right in the line. Okay, but wait, let's get way out here. More trees. 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to zoom out just a little bit so you can zoom in to where those last trees are. They just look so cute, lined up. Where are they? Oh, there they are. Right there. You think those trees just lined up because of natural reasons? I think that's the very last part of our canal. Wait, I take it back. Those trees are the last ones. And then it's pure desert. And it goes all the way to the Richat Structure, all the way up there. It goes all the way to about here where you can see it. And then there's a couple of these blue lines represent river. Can I zoom in? These blue lines represent modern day waterways. The red lines represent canals through bedrock. All right, let me get back to the show. We're almost done. We got a couple more things. But yeah, I call it the Richat Canal. I feel like I discovered that. But there's other ones too. I kind of am curious about this. Here's what I call the mouth. If you look carefully, you'll see the bedrock getting covered by sand is still showing itself right here. But now I drove right there. The water runs from the Wadan River into the Richat, not outside. This area is much lower. There's my tree line that I just showed you. Here's the Wadan River going into the Richat. No water escapes the Richat. Okay, I think we had ancient seas here. All right, this is in Phoenix. We have prehistoric irrigation canals in North America. So, of course, I believe that Atlantis was part of a global civilization. Now, this is something Randall Carlson showed us. I think maybe I saw that before he did his video back in 2019, 20, whatever. But what this is supposed to be a faceted stone, meaning it was actually carved by somebody. And Randall Carlson himself, when he did this video and talked about the Richat structure, he said the outcrops in this structure were being quarried by somebody hundreds and thousands of years ago. Well, I went there in February on Valentine's Day. I went to these quarry fields because I was so close. But there's more quarry fields around that area, 6 miles long, 4 miles wide. And if you follow the shoreline, it goes even farther. These lines are not natural. These are not those so-called ridges that you can find on your hand. I used to think this was natural. Thank you, the in-between. He said this quarrying, Randall Carlson said that this quarrying was done 1.2 million years ago. But it's not Atlantis. It's not Atlantis. Well, who the hell did it? This is on the north shore above the Richat structure. Okay, Randall Carlson, he ignores the fact somebody was here already 1 million years ago doing this. Now, that's not the ones I visited, but these lines are not natural. And this is the Giant's Quarry. And the Giant's Quarry, to me, shows a lot of, first of all, this straight line in the middle, and then what I call these relief cuts. I say 45-degree angle. They're not really 45 here. They're kind of a 33, but they're relief cuts. The main, and by the way, I don't know what happened over here, but this is big stone. I mean, that's a road here. That's probably a trail for camels, because I don't really see two lines from tires when I study this, but that might be a car track. So if that's a car, this structure, and it's just one of many in this whole area that just don't add up. Chert outcrops. Okay, so Randall Carlson implies that they were carving axe heads. I don't think that they needed these big old chunks of stone. Now, we also have some new LiDAR. This is, I don't have it's down here in the corner. Forgot what its name is, and I'm not giving him credit. But it shows so many things here. And you can see the crater I mentioned that destroyed Atlantis and how it removed the mountains. There's something over here, this plug, Randall Carlson mentioned it. Still don't know what that's all about. I never saw it up close. I drove right through there, but it's not something you can really see. And then you see these new lines showing up here, and way over here you see lines. And you see this one going, I've been looking at this line for 5 years. But you also see a new line here. That's ancient damming. This line was going across the Wadan River. Hey, that doesn't mean it was as old as Atlantis, but agricultural ridges that go across rivers. And yeah, that's a river right there. It's not a very strong one. It probably was a lot stronger when the topsoil was still here, when we still had trees, we still had stuff before this was a desert. This is just hard stone now. So this is the skeleton of the Wadan River and what it once was. And maybe some of this water was pumped up there. But these structures, including the donut or the Sami set or whatever it's called, including this little cut through over here, I used to not think we needed LiDAR, but I do believe now we need more LiDAR, much more. All right, now, as you look at the topography, you see this little ridge over here. Somebody called that the waterfall, a friend of mine, but I don't really think it was a waterfall. Actually, I don't have the picture is not, where's that picture at? Hold on. I have it over here. Let's see if this has it. I had the picture ready. Now I don't have it. Where is it? Is it here? No, I don't have it. Why? Oh, wait. Water wall. Wait. Here? Stone masonry? No, that's not it. Okay, I lost the picture, but it shows the cut through very clearly. So I believe that a canal could have gone right through there. Oh, there it is. That's the picture. I traced it, and I believe that that was a cut through, and that was a cut through. You can take a look, go there yourself. I got really close to visiting there. The other place, it's right there. It's called Chingeti, is there. So you can see that water wall. There's another oasis right here, the Oasis de Tenacher. There's an ancient city up here on the up here. You can go take a look yourself. But I do believe that that thing was like a water wall that was created in a way. And if you don't really like that, there's my other one. Now here, the water wall. It's a long story. This is out of sync. That's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's the shiny nose. Those two mountains are lower than the highest point in the Richat structure. Now, if you know about mountains, they usually don't butt up against escarpments. They usually are the highest thing around. But in this case, these two are lower than the highest point. Now, I'm showing you that the Richat structure is up here. And what I'm showing you is down there. I'll give you some other picture. There it is right there. That's what I call Rudolph. And right across is a water wall that seems like it goes right on top of the mountain itself. So this escarpment right here, in my opinion, was the old one. And it goes all the way out here, blah, blah, blah. Goes out into what I used to think was a sea. But this thing goes right across the top of it and continues for several hundred miles. I call it a water wall. And it seems like it's built right on top. I believe this is an opening. It goes to one of the parallel canals. I walked down this parallel canal. But the one I didn't make it to, I believe, went right through here. I think this was a water area. Now, the highest point, those two twin peaks I've showed you are here. This right next to this highest point. But there are quarry lines. I mean, I'm happy to show you these quarry lines. Reset to north. Zoom in here. Let's go to 3D, 2D, whatever. And we have the two mountains that are here. They're aligned to this wall. But when you zoom into this structure, you start to see the quarry lines. And one of them goes right through the nose. And the other one down here, this other one here, also has a quarry line going right through. I drove here and I got from the ground. You can see how this mountain is divided like cells duplicating. There's quarry lines going up into this ridge. And back here, you can see more quarry lines. So they were taking away this material. They were quarrying away. This is the highest point in the Richat. And they were quarrying it away. They were machining it. They were manipulating it. Who were they? I don't know. But you can see the two parallel canals on both sides. The blue line is the one I walked down about here. Okay, there they are. They're like 10 miles long each. And there's those two little mountains that I mentioned. And there's that water wall that I mentioned. And they happen to be aligned. But more than that, this is aligned with other mounds that I found in the Grand Canyon in Utah. Oh, and by the way, you can see those quarry marks so clearly. By the way, I think this whole area over here was quarried. And this straight line here is a 30-mile long, I think it was a river. Here's that material. How does that, there's this right here, this knob or whatever you want to call it is right there, I believe. And I got that photo. Somebody dropped that photo there in Google Earth. And you can check it out yourself. Right at the tip. Just the tip is showing there. Okay. And those two mountains I mentioned, which are lower than the highest point, are aligned with that tip. And here's the whole thing. And there's this open area here, but then it starts again. And down here, you can find another quarry. So there's all sorts of, it's right there. There's that other quarry I mentioned. This is not north-south. So there's the bisected peaks. And then the long wall. This area is kind of open. It's not really a wall. And then there's another part of the wall again. And then a quarry over here. And then over there is my 50-mile-long canal pointing at the Richat that I found. These two canals, one of which I walked down. This is all just a little bit too much. It's all smoking gun evidence, in my opinion. Wow, I talked a lot. 86 minutes of me talking. I'm going to definitely go and trim off the beginning. There's the one in Colorado. You can see the mound right there. You can see that the alignment is the same with the one I just showed you in the Richat. Look at these two right here. That's another one in Utah, aligned. Here's the Richat structure. Look at the alignment right there. Look at the compass. Look at the compass. Now, if that's that one over here, it's not perfectly between, like, if that's north and it's not north. If this is north and this is east, then you would say northeast. I would say that's a couple degrees off. This one, found in the Grand Canyon, look at it, the compass. Very similar, right? And this one, North Six Shooter Peak. I just put this up. South Six Shooter Peak. They're on different plateaus. And look at the compass. Okay, this is Utah. Look at the alignment. Here are those two peaks in a previous image that I grabbed. Okay, look at how they're put on top of these plateaus. These peaks are probably put there later. I mean, I don't know what to say. Here's those two peaks in Utah. Okay, and Ship Rock has two peaks right there, and those are almost aligned as well. Ship Rock has a bunch of stuff going on, but in my opinion, the alignment with those two do ring a bell. Okay, this is my final words. When I was going through Wadan, the city that is near, I'm going to show you where that's located. Here's the Eye of Africa. Zooming in, over here is where my hotel was located. This is Wadain. And you can see when you look at this, the newer parts, more modern day parts. And then you can see the older parts. But let's imagine that this whole area got covered up by something. Because when you go back to my presentation, you see these what look like rounded stones sticking through something that's on top of them. And this was a place I found over in the more modern area. But they are very similar to these other structures, which is called the Roman Road. I've never been there before. Okay, so that black and white and red stone, we can talk about that. I believe that this is the stone. But what happens is when the white stone gets wet, it turns red. And then when it gets cataclysmized, oh, there it is right there. Yeah, you get this black layer on the top. So something happened that changed the color of this exposed stone. And then if you break it, you're going to have white stone in between. So this is limestone, but it's such a version of the limestone that it seems to oxidize and turn red. And then it seems to get burned and turns black. But you can see that it's like a weird light layer. Something happened that turned it all black. Probably the cataclysm itself. Something burned. Look how flat that rock is right there. But all this stuff on top, I believe, got piled on, and maybe to hide these stones underneath. And the Roman Road, another place I've never been. Will I go there in January? That's the question. Who wants to go with me? That's the question. Okay. Yeah, we got to get rid of that thing on the left. I got to figure out how to turn this into a full screen. I don't know how to do it still. StreamYards. Give me your opinion on StreamYards. If you've had to endure my shitty OBS presentations because of lagging and low resolution and staggered audio, I think this went pretty well. I'm going to be checking it out myself. I'm going to check it out right away. I probably can't watch the whole 86. Now it's 91 minutes, but I'm probably going to switch over to StreamYards unless somebody gives me a better idea. Just a quick look. Land Before Time, that's Zero Control, at Zero Control. I hope he's got more than 190 subscribers now. This is a guy you should subscribe to. If I'm doing Google Earthing, he's the Google Earth master. His videos are good. He showed me this in Madagascar, this ridge. Also, this is something I discovered in South Africa, but I'm going to keep my promise. No, I can't do it. I'm going to give you one last chance to ask questions. I can try to use your link. Get rid of that. What's that doing there? There's a lot more talking about the rest of the world stuff I found, but this wasn't supposed to be all about that. Yeah, Randall Carlson showed us this. Okay, so to be honest, I do want to mention on my first trip, I went to the center of the Richat, and then I went to Attar, and I stayed in this hotel, and the guy showed me this picture, the guy that runs the hotel, Bab Sahara. He showed me this. He tried to get me to pay to go see it, but it was like a 2-day trip, and I just wasn't there. I wanted to go see these structures here. I wanted to visit this canal, and I'd made it. I got here. I walked down the canal, and I'm pretty sure that rivers don't form so straight. So that was the second stop on my first trip, and I was pretty much done. I left. I tried to stay longer, but I was still learning. My second trip, I went to this place. Okay, Sebket El Guelb El Sebket. What I believe, those are the two. What I called sorry, what do we call these things? I'm always forgetting this word. These, what's this stuff called? Okay, help me out. Tell me what this is called. It's called my brain. I've had a little alcohol tonight. Maybe I can blame the alcohol. Fan, alluvial fan. Alluvial fan number 1, alluvial fan number 2, alluvial fan number 3 has covered the ridge of this crater. As I stood here, and that's an alluvial fan right there as well, but you can still see very clearly the edge of the crater. Over here, it's kind of losing the circle, but stuff is going on. I believe that this is very clearly the crater. And where are the mountains? Okay, I can't emphasize that more. Where are the mountains? That was the next stop. And I went back to the center again. Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you in the first one, I visited the castle. I did tell you, but my first trip, I went to the castle. And on the first trip, we went out here to this place right here. This is called fortification number 4. And believe it or not, I was heartbroken because it wasn't much. And here's fortification number 5. I'll tell you a secret. Yes, what I do. Yeah, well, let's blame the Google Earth too, but I don't know if I want to get LASIK. I think I need to get some to get rid of these floaters. I have had corrective laser surgery on my eyes about 25 years ago, 30 years ago now. Getting back there, probably 2000, so 24 years ago, I had laser surgery on my retinas, and they caused a bunch of floaters. Anyways, I went to these two places, and I was heartbroken because I quickly realized that ain't no boulder. It's a lot clearer now. You can see. But back in the day, I used to think that this was a boulder. I used to think that these were aligned stones. Well, little did I know that I was right next to Randall Carlson's chert outcrops, which are right here. I was so close if I had known. And those guys from Atlantis together, those guys are so crazy. They went from the castle, they walked from the castle all the way out to this one, and they did a bunch of 3D scanning. Those guys are, and there's a lot of other ones out here. So there's a lot of army games. Those fortifications were built by the French military by hand. They're stones. There's not ET. They're it's basically war games by people walking around in the desert in the 1800s, in the late 1800s, probably, maybe even in the early 1800s. But I do not believe for a second that it has any part to do with Atlantis. And I knew that when I was standing by them, and I was heartbroken, and I said, let's get the F out of here. But if I had only realized I was right next to these chert outcrops, and I would have gone over there, and I probably would have still been heartbroken, because if you look at my latest images of those, they're quite chaotic from the ground. And yes, my third trip. Okay, so my first trip, I went to the center. I went to those 3 structures. Then I went to Atar. And then I went back up the mountain and I visited this. And then I went back down and then I went home. Then, second trip, I went back to the middle. I went to the crater. I got some images of this mountains here. And I took those pictures and I realized, wow, that mountain is so much shorter than here. But I took the picture from far away. Only on my third trip did I actually drive out by these mountains. It was a hell ride to get from here to here. Took about an hour. I got the images. There was a road that seemed like it could have taken me on top of that plateau, but I didn't want to push it. I wanted to get out to Chinguetti. Chinguetti is over here. I went to Chinguetti. That's another thing I should brag about. The city of Chinguetti was not special for me. I was sad that it wasn't as clean as I was hoping. And I can get into that. But then we drove out and we stayed in Wadan again. And then we drove out to the middle. The reason why I went to the... Wait a minute. We didn't get to the middle. I didn't go to the middle that trip. I didn't even bother. I drove around back to the chert outcrops. Oh, yeah. My second trip. We tried to get out here to La Bied, but we failed. And I've learned a lot about that, but I did go to the donut. So, yeah, I keep forgetting that was the second trip to the donut. And I got to drive around there. Third trip, 2 things. One of them was the chert outcrops. But I also did get to go to Fort Sagan. It's right about here. It's this fort that was built for a movie. Can't remember where that is. It's out about here somewhere. You go down, you get to this cliff's edge and you go down to get to the fort. And then you got to drive back up. So there's a little road right here that takes you down there. Look at all these lines, you know. Anyways, I've been talking to you guys. You guys are very kind. 100 minutes. Last chance for any questions. If you have any questions, otherwise I'm going to start getting out of here pretty quick. That is the Richat Structure again. And yeah, I got to get a book printed. So when I get the book, it's going to include a lot of this information. Very little about the rest of the world, because I'm going to do a second book about the rest of the world. What's going on in North America, what I've found. And you guys in the chat, if you're all still there, and I thank you. Let's do a refresh and see how many thumbs up I got now. 32 thumbs up. Thank you so much. Last chance for questions before I get out of here. Thank you, The In-Between. Go check out her channel. Crypto Alchemist, thank you so much. Few people in here who've helped me a lot. Hut Hutchinson, believe you're in England. Could be wrong. You could be in Australia. TC, I haven't seen you in a while. I believe there were 12 Atlantean colonies. Yeah, I think there were more than 12. You know, we could get on. Not my style. Emu, thank you. Rome Dog, nice to see you again. Lots of people in here. The in-between, it sounds like you stuck it out if you're still there. What is the meaning of happiness? The meaning of happiness. Where's those chats? Show the chat. The meaning of happiness. I mean, we all eat, right? We have all these basic bodily functions. We feel unhappy if they don't happen. Australia. Right. I forget why I thought you were. I knew you weren't seeing my stuff. I mean, this is live at 9 p.m. in California. It's 9 p.m. right now. So I kept thinking that you were in Europe. 47. What's 47? I think there were capital cities. I mean, when you talk about city states, like, for example, what Plato wrote, Cadiz must have been a capital of Atlantis, in my opinion. What Michael Hubner wrote must have been a capital of Atlantis. The Atlas Mountains. What are my 5 things? The Pillars of Hercules, mentioned by Plato. Cadiz, mentioned by Plato. The area right across. There's no islands out here. Okay, I mean, maybe here, maybe over here, but that's so far out. You know, we're talking about the area across from, or towards the Pillars of Hercules, went to the Twin. So I believe that this was the area that the Twin got. Then we've got the Atlas Mountains here. We've got the Sumasa right there. That's it right there. Supposedly found stuff out here too. Although I have to be honest, I haven't seen much myself. I've looked. Don't forget the Tamanrasset River, which was right here. And then you've got the Richat Structure itself. And the canals, okay? Look, after my first trip, I didn't think that the canals were enough evidence. After my first trip, I was like, oh my God, after I drove through here, I mean, you literally drive 45 minutes through 1, 2, 3 little valleys. And you're like, yeah, there's rings of land. There's rings of possible water. This looks like an ocean. Literally here is sand. So when you get in here, you're looking at these lines and you're going, oh my God, how did all these lines get created? Was that Atlantis? Millions of years of geological events. I don't think that's a volcanic dome. I don't think a bubble will pop and inflate that much, especially one that's 45 kilometers wide. I just didn't think it was Atlantis after my first trip. But when I discovered the canals and all these other canals and a bunch of other stuff that I could show you, all the stuff, the quarries, and I was, by the way, the Randall Carlson statement hadn't triggered yet. So I didn't know what he was talking about. All right. Lunchtime. Awesome. All right, guys, that was it. I gave you your chance to ask me more questions. The meaning of happiness is when you're not upset, right? What is the meaning of happiness? Obviously, we could talk about that for 24 hours straight. Not me, cataracts. Horace needs a link. Well, I did get a new TV screen on my computer system, so believe it or not, I'm going to get a better view of Google Earth. Although I already knew it wasn't so special. Should I click on that? No, I don't think so. No, I think I should get out of here. I'm out of here, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm going to have to clip off the beginning when I was doing all the testing. I'm going to have to rename this because I put StreamYard in the title. Probably I'm going to have to add the description. Oh, is that a random question? Horace, the Richat has a cataract. Okay, to respond to that, since you asked, you're talking about the idea that it looks like an eye, right? Back in 2008, I had a new internet connection, and I said, I got to start looking at the Sahara. I didn't see this guy. Instead, the first thing I saw was this thing, and I said, wow, it looks like an eye. And then I looked it up, and it said the eye of the Sahara, and it told me, oh, the Richat Structure. So I do believe that if this thing wasn't 100% naturally created, whether that be from planetary discharge or the Poseidon put it there, you know, it looks a lot like an eye. It looks a lot like a face. The Senegal River. Actually, there's two parts to that. I believe the Senegal enters here, but yeah, that's the Senegal right there. No, that's the Senegal. It looks like the frown of this alien with a pointy chin. So, honestly, the eye thing, if somebody was creating something, that's a pretty easy create, right? Then you've got this thing that looks like a face. Let's not get started on that. That's my next presentation. StreamYard. Thanks again, guys. I'm out of here. Have a nice night. Bye-bye. End stream.